Welcome to the Startup Grind.
So we've already had the event in Cape Town, right? So now tonight is our event for the Johannesburg chapter, and we're kicking off with Freddy. So, over to you, Freddy.
All right, my name is Freddy Mahhumane. I was born in Mpumalanga, 30 years ago. I moved to Johannesburg when I was 6, and I've been living in Kempton Park, Tembisa since then. I studied around there and moved to Pretoria to finish my matric. I then joined TUT. Actually, I didn't want to do IT. So when we went to TUT, my dad told me business management might be very difficult for you. Why don't you try out something that might be a bit easier, like IT? So for some odd reason, I thought IT was something very simple. So I studied IT in TUT, Tshwane University of Technology main campus. Then it was in Pretoria. So in my first year, I became a student assistant. I got selected in the school to become a student assistant. Started setting up papers for other students and doing all that. And after that, I became the chairman of the mentorship program 6 months later. And while I was starting, a company called NetCB Solutions came to me and they gave me an offer. The only thing I could do very well was program, nothing else. When it came to theory and all the other stuff, I was bad. So when they gave me an offer, I decided to drop out of varsity and focus on building a career in software development.
Like, how do you have that conversation? Because the thing is that we live in a society where we always encouraging a tertiary education, and it's not necessarily for everybody. And you might have a different vision to how you're going to get successful to what your parents would have thought. How do you have that conversation?
It was simple. I showed my father the contract they were offering me. And he was like, okay, why don't you try it out and see if it works? But it wasn't easy as well because, education is everything. If I were to give any advice to any young person today, I'll tell them to get educated. Education, it is very, very good, but still, it's not the only way out. Hard work is the way out here. So you might go and get educated and get your honors and become a doctor or whatnot, but if you don't work hard, then it's the person next to you who's not educated who will surpass you and become the best in what they do. So when NetCB offered me that contract, I took it in and I started developing for them. A year into that, I won an award with Novell as the best newcomer in the Novell space in open source software. I became one of the first certified content management specialists in South Africa. I headed the first project when implementing that software with Pasco Risk with a guy called Johan van Zyl. And from then I never looked back. The company promoted me and they made me a product specialist and started traveling. Started talking in open source conferences such as Open Horizons, which happened every year in South Africa. And one of the first, actually, I spoke in one of the first conferences. And it was quite good. It was an eye-opener for me. And then during that, I think I was 23 by then, and I decided to start my company, IT company. It was called Scofies Technologies back then. Well, there were so many challenges. You're a dropout. You don't know how to draft an invoice. You don't know how to register your company. You don't know how to market it. You don't have an income. The only income you will have, it's your salary. No one wants to invest. You're walking into into a room and they ask you, what are your qualifications? And you tell them, no, drop that. The only thing I can do is program. So it was very difficult.
Okay, so you've started this company. Are you starting this company while working for another company, or did you decide to just leave and be independent from off the bat?
Okay, I was working for NetCB still. Actually, when they found out, they threatened to fire me. Conflict of interest, they called it. But what I did was, when I started my company, I decided to have, because I didn't have money, so I called friends who were whom I knew were very good in their specialization fields. I did the sales. So from then, that's how everything started. And when NetCB found out, they told me, no, you can't do that, otherwise we'll fire you. I decided to do it secretly, without anybody knowing, trying to get a small client and all of that. But the company failed because of that. We closed down a year into it. All my friends were disappointed. People that thought I was gonna make it, people who believed in me, were also disappointed. When you're an entrepreneur, your failure is public. You cannot hide it. Whereas as a private individual, when you fail, you go to your room, you cry about it. When you're an entrepreneur, if you fail, you failed your employees. You fail the people that trust in your employees, or everybody surrounding you, and therefore it's global. I always say you then have to find a way to channel it, to take that failure and make it something, grow from it. I was young, so for me, I was kind of shut down from it. So what had happened is a year or two later, I think I was 25, 26, my uncle, who was an entrepreneur at Sasolbeck, he got murdered. What happened was he had to pay salaries, and he didn't know much about technology, so he went and withdrew around about 60,000 rands to pay wages. On his way back, they murdered him. So that was the guy who bought my first PC, my laptop, at Varsity. He gave me my first laptop. He came with a laptop at home. He said, "Can you fix it?" And I said, "Yeah, I can fix it." I fixed it, and he said, "It's yours." So it was someone very special to me. So I decided I can't fail him right now. I need to start again.
Can you just give us a bit of a principal objective of the company that you're currently running?
We do a lot of graphic design, custom software development, web development, business planning for small SMEs who are just starting up. We also try and manage them through the process, the beginning stage, whereby you come in and we give you a toolkit that we have, whereby in less than 3,000 rands we get you email hosting for unlimited accounts. We get you a domain, your domain registered. We build a website for you. We do your logos. We do your graphic design, your email signatures. What we do is we want you, when you send an email and everybody thinks, okay, this guy is worth $1 million. That's what we do. That's what we're all about. And with our client base, it's a small business enterprise. Strictly, yes. But we started, obviously, as we grew, a lot of guys started noticing us, like Afrocentric, Inkunzi Investments, run by Owen Kambule, and a lot of funeral services that also they require services and developments. And we recently developed a product for Inkunzi Investment to do their share trading, which is one of the biggest products we've done so far. It's currently on the prototype stage, and we hope everything goes well. The testing is running already, so we'll see. We'll take it from there. Okay, you cannot try and steal this idea. It's already protected, so don't waste the time. All right. Currently, we're busy talking to MultiChoice. What we're doing, or a product that we're trying to develop, only have a prototype for it, is that currently what happens is when you watch your DSTV at home and you record anything, in order for you to tell your friends about it, or for your friends to come and watch it, they'll have to visit you. What we are saying is, why not have a social sharing space for that, whereby I will share everything that I've recorded with my friends. If I record something on DSTV, an episode, I can then tell my friend about it, and if they're interested in watching it, I simply share it with them, and they watch it at their own time. Because now we're in the world of entrepreneurship. We're in the world of social media. Why do I have to go, literally drive all the way to Cape Town to watch an episode? Whereas I can share the episode, or some episodes are repeated very late, you're not at home. Why not do that? Another one that we currently busy with, we're speaking to FNB. What we're doing is, currently if I were to ask any one of you here, how much electricity do you have at home? No one would tell me, whether it's prepaid or you on any savers. You cannot tell me how much electricity you have at home. Can you recharge your electricity right now, right here?
Yes.
Yes, by getting a pin and sending it to someone.
Yeah.
Instead of sending a pin to somebody to recharge for you, you simply recharge wirelessly without anybody sending a pin. Now you can pack up and go on holiday and not worry about your food.
If you had to do a smoke test on one of these prototypes, like, can you run us through exactly how you would go about it?
The IT word we use for that is build verification test.
Okay.
What we do is, firstly, we'll have a prototype. Now, a prototype is something that you'll show the client. You go to the client and say, listen, I have this. It's not running, it's not a full system. It's got basic functionality. And then after that, after you show them a prototype, then the client will say, all right, I like your idea. Let's work with it. And that's when they commit themselves financially, and we start, we continue with the development phase. So in order to do your verification now, it's that once your software is complete or looks complete to you as the developer, you don't send it directly to production. We do what we call fail forward. When you fail forward, it's that you send it through to your client and you say to them, I have this product now, it's on phase 1. Can you start using it? Test it for us and let's see if you get any errors. Do you want any changes? It's not the complete product. It's being used by maybe 5 people or 2 people in the company. They start using that product and they come back to you, and then you continue having these phases up until the client feels, you know what, now we are ready. We want to send this product to production. Even when it is in production, you don't release any build and put it in production before you run testing. Believe me, there's always a glitch in the software environment. So you must do thorough testing. And smoke testing, it's actually, you're trying to say, I will only test the best functionalities that we have on the software. And once those functionalities, they work, all right, I can then release it. And if anything breaks, it won't break the whole software. It will be maybe you're missing a $sign, or there's a spelling error, or things like that. Things that won't shut down the company. The company will keep on running in production.
Say, for example, the company has approved it. At what stage do we start introducing it to Tom, Dick, and Harry?
Maybe after the prototype has been developed and approved. So what will happen is, in your software design analysis, you will have a plan on what functionalities the system must have. Once you have the basic functionalities, then you can bring in the consumer to try and test the software. But when bringing in the consumer, you don't bring in everyone. So it's also on a limited edition kind of thing. What we normally do is we would release the software, and all the people or our clients that are currently following us, we will send them a link to run the software for free for maybe a year. And then people are interested in that. Companies are trying to save. If you have an HR system or a social system, you can send it to any company and say, we'll run it for a year and we'll maintain it for you. So that when they break it, they call you and tell you, listen, this is not working, we want it up and running. So you kind of, they are helping you to test the software, and at the same time your software becomes better because now they will tell you what they expect the system to do and what they don't want the system to do. Because sometimes you think as a software developer, a function that you've developed is very good, but the consumer says, I don't want that. So you must always listen to the consumer and make sure during that process that you are able to change your software.
You've got this early prototype. How do you usually guarantee that the idea and the prototype will not be taken away from you and given to, say, X, Y, and Z supplier?
Okay, I had an experience with a company, I won't mention their name, whereby they stole my idea, but it was with Scoffice Technologies. Because I didn't know anything about it, and the government is even using the idea today, I didn't protect it. I didn't have anything. It was just merely an email. I sent a spreadsheet and with a PowerPoint presentation explaining the finances and the idea to them and everything. And they told me they were not interested. 2 years down the line, I see the product in the market. So believe me, you people will steal your product if it's very good if you don't protect it. So what we normally do is we sign a non-disclosure agreement and a non-trading agreement. So they don't tell anyone about it, and they are not allowed to trade using that system or that idea within the next 4 years. Once they sign that, they will have to wait 4 years. In 4 years' time, we'll be done developing your system, and it will be in a prototype phase, if not in fully running environment. So they cannot afford to wait for that. And in IT, you'll only take 6 months for your idea or your software to become redundant. So if you have an idea right now and you don't implement it, in 6 months' time, someone else will have the very same idea, or it will be running in some production environment or protected against it.
Can you just run us through how you would start? Because I know with starting out with your particular business, people don't even know how to, as you said so before, put an invoice together. So you have to pitch a client, and in pitching your client, you have to say these are the objectives of the prototype, and this is what we should do. Can you just give us a bit of a brief account of, what should the standard template be?
I went and bought Business in a Box. It comes with all the documentation, but it's very expensive. So what I did then, I went and I tried to find open source documents that I can use and modify. You spend a lot of sleepless nights trying to make sure the document looks good, proofread your document, and all of that. But open source is the way to go. Right now you can do everything, and you can get everything in open source. So first things first, you must have a template, an invoice template, and your invoice template must always look the same. So if client A and client B, they meet in some restaurant, the invoices must be the same. You mustn't have a different logo, because each and every logo will build your reputation. When people see the logo on your invoice, they should want to do business with you. That's how it is. So you must have an invoice template with a logo on your template, with your contact details, your bank account details, so that they don't have to call you and ask you for your bank details, things like that. And after that, your contract. What I did was, you can literally now download any contract that you want to download. So you download it, and make sure that you make the necessary changes in the contract. You don't want to send the contract, and the contract says the company name, it's Scoffice Technologies, while you sending the contract as Open Technik Ltd. And you must have an email. A lot of companies are tempted to use Gmail because it's for free. I don't do business with anyone who doesn't own a domain. That's the first principle. If you don't own a domain, I don't bother doing business with you, because it means you don't have a reputation. It means you don't have a website. And if you don't have a website, it means you are no one. You're walking in the streets and you're no one. You might have ideas, and the company might be growing, but people will always be reluctant to run a business with you. Another one is that you must look the part. I will not invest in anyone that looks like they will run with my money. I'm leaving. I had a friend who was running an IT company. He's currently running it. It's actually growing as well. He was driving a Tez, and people were scared to invest. And he went to a business meeting with one of the investors once. And the investor said, you know what, you're good, and I would like to do business with you, but I'm scared you're going to run with my money. He wondered what he meant by that. Joburg, we start doing deals, $1 million deals. You know, Joburg is the city of gold. If you're doing a 500 rand deal, then yeah, it's fine. You can look a bit shady. But if you're doing a 5 million rand deal, you should look 10 million rand. Understand it? You can't, even though you don't have that 10 million rand in your bank account, but you should look it. Looking it doesn't mean you have it. But that's the trick. If you have, I know, yes, well, she said it, couldn't have said it better. So that's how it is. Your looks are very important. When you walk into the room, people should want to know who you are. I normally say, I'll never stop working and hustling up until I don't have to introduce myself.
Can you name any government agencies that have been of assistance when starting out?
South Africa is not, the South African government is not helping out with entrepreneurship. I've never applied for a tender in my life, and I will not apply for a tender in my life. I used to consult for Home Affairs, and I actually installed their mail server. And I saw how things were being done. And I saw how difficult it was for you to get that small tender. I'm not registered in any government database, and I will not register in any government database. Because one, the government is teaching us to be lazy. Two, if the government is supporting entrepreneurship, why don't you have entrepreneurship subjects at school? Three, which government department can you walk into and meet with the director of the department without being anyone? Four, you walk to any bank, and you say to them, I want to talk to your financial advisor. They'll ask you, what's your account status? I walked into a bank last week. I didn't want to queue. And I called the gentleman and I said, I'm part of your black card team. I don't want to queue. I want 300 rands. The guy ran around and jumped everybody in the queue to get me 300 rands. That's not how things should be done. What are you saying to the small guy? That cannot, should they spend, you're running a company, you cannot afford to spend 3 hours in the bank. You are an entrepreneur. Why not get the black card status immediately when you register your business? Why aren't you treated important? Because you're going to be creating employment. So to answer your question, the only government department, I think, I've never dealt with them, but I think now they're a bit more professional, is the DTI. Their processes now have changed. It used to take more than 3 weeks to register a company. Right now you walk into that department, you walk out with your certificate. It's an improvement. And I'd like to state it out. They are improving in certain fields, but there is few departments that will take you seriously because you're an entrepreneur. You have to gain a certain financial status in order for the government or anybody in South Africa to start respecting you. That's why you have DJ Spoo posting a YouTube video saying he's a millionaire, because he wants people to start taking serious and thinking he's a millionaire for real.
Here in South Africa, people are not really sure on how to actually, create and find opportunities in the tech space. And I mean, since you've been around for like more than 10 years, how do you identify an opportunity? How do you see that this is something that can be creating value? This is something that, can create employment. How would you go about something like that?
Our technology itself, it doesn't matter, it's in the private sector or the government, the public sector. It's very poor. We're way behind. And the reason is because we don't have innovators. People are scared. Like Nelson Mandela once said, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. So the man with courage is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So it is okay to be scared, but do we stop there? If you have a brilliant idea, an innovation, try it out. Believe me, you will fail 1,000 times. Don't think you won't fail. But it takes that one idea that can make you or break you. So what I would say is when it comes to technology, we have the ideas. We have youngsters that can think. We currently a lot of inventions have been coming out of South Africa, but not in the technology space.
How do we foster the technology community to, say you can find an opportunity in there?
When you see anything that you see or you look at, try and think of it in an IT.
How we can simplify it.
Yes, and make it better. I wouldn't, as a technology person, I would rather have him stand behind me or somewhere with his phone and controlling the camera. As I'm standing here, now I came up with an idea to make sure that he can control 5 cameras in different rooms using an app. Why must he stand behind the camera and move it around in this technology space? So everything around you should, when you look at it, you should think, how can I make it simpler? The reason why I came up with the DSTV idea is because I recorded a show for my brother, and it's still there. He's very busy, he's a doctor, but he can't come and watch it. So I thought, but why can't I just share it with them? I'm already paying for these services and all of that, but why don't you think of simplifying things around us? And once we have that mental state, and the government helps us, instead of having all these manual processes, we have automated processes. I fail to understand why a grade 8 learner would not own an iPad, and why do they have to make notes writing in a piece of paper at this day and age. So up until we get to a certain level whereby we don't even use textbooks, we use software for our textbooks. So we don't have to deliver them, we have to just make them available on any cloud server. So everything will start with the government. There should be some sort of support in the technology space. There should be, the government should start using the public services instead of the private services. Why not have public companies develop such software? All the good software comes from the private guys. And that should tell you that the technology is not supported in South Africa, and to me, it's because the government is lacking in the growth. I remember when IBM came with a learnership at TUT, I went into the headmaster's office and I said, head of department office, and I said, I want to apply for it. Looked at my marks and said, there's no way you will make it. And that's the attitude we have. She looked at my marks and judged me, because the only thing I was good at was programming. And she said, you're not going to make it. So somebody else must come. And I tell you, there are a lot of guys that went through and they failed in it. But their marks looked good. And that's because of the attitude that we have towards the education system. We don't even believe in our own education system. Somebody would rather tell you, go and study in Swaziland, go and study in Zimbabwe. Somebody who studied in Zimbabwe is far much better than somebody who studied in SA. I'll tell you that right now. And that's because our education system is failing. The reason why it's failing is because some of our public figures are making it without having the proper education. And what message are you then sending to the young guy? Do I need education or don't I need education? So we cannot, I'm standing here right now and I parked the German car downstairs, but I'll tell you this. Education is very important. I don't have education, but I'm lucky that I'm here today. Because without education, I'm telling you, you won't make it. So education is actually the way going forward. If the education standard continues to decline, and we are so unaware of it that when the world compares themselves against us, they say we have the worst education. An article was published a month ago that we have the worst education in South Africa. The premier came out and said, no ways. Those guys, they don't know what they're talking about. They must show us the research. We even are unaware how bad things are at home. You understand me? So,
when you're dealing with your clients, right, and the particular products that, say I'm your client and I have a particular product and I'd like to get it out there, how do you advise your client that this product is related to B2B, business to business, or it's for business to consumer? And also in advising them, how do you avoid a situation, a conflict situation? Because me as client, I have this idea in my head that, this is my target market, whereas you as the, the vendor of this particular product of mine, you have another idea.
Lady wants to start her own online boutique. And I said to her, there's already a lot of people with online boutiques. What is it that you're going to be bringing that's different? And she said, well, professionalism. And I said, a lot of professional people. When you come up with an idea as a client, there should be similarities, but you should be bringing in something different. So I said to her, instead of selling those clothes, why don't you actually start dressing up those people? That's what I told her. There's no service that does that. You have to be flipping rich to get your personal stylist. Why not, when somebody buys a jacket from you, you actually say, this jacket, you can wear it with this kind of makeup, and we can do that kind of makeup. You can wear it with this kind of jeans. If you have this kind of jeans, you must have this kind of shirt, and this jacket would look good on you. When somebody goes to an all-white party and they buy sneakers from you, do you know why they're buying the sneakers? Are they buying it because they want to look cool, or they're buying it because of a theme? People don't know that. You can walk into any shop right now, buy a pair of jeans and walk out. And so, especially with ladies, each and everything that they buy, it relates to an event. Everything that they own when it comes to clothing, it relates to an event. They don't just walk into a shop and say, I'm going to buy this because I'd like to have it. No, I'm going to buy this because I'm going somewhere and I want to wear it. And I said to her, that's how you should think about it. Help them dress up. Sell them the clothes, but help them dress up. Bring that kind of service to the public. And that's how I advise my clients, is to, when you bring in the business or you have an idea, firstly, we look at your idea and we say, is there anything different with your idea? Is going to be the same? If it is the same, we therefore compare it with the other available ideas in the market, and we say, do you think you're going to be making money? Do you think it's feasible enough? Don't you think these people will even try and sue you because they will think you're stealing their idea? So we advise them by showing them the right way and by helping them to make money. I had an IT company that came to me and said, we want to buy the cheapest laptops. Can you help us? And I said, listen here, how much do you want to spend? And then I'll help you by making sure that you're in your budget. I'm not going to go out there and try and find you a cheap laptop. I'm going to go out there and try and find you a laptop you can afford. Because there's a difference. Things that are cheap are not necessarily things that we can afford. That's what I told the client. So what we do is we take whatever the client brings to us and we look at it in that perspective. And we say, what would we do? What's available? And we advise our clients towards that. Consumers, they're looking for simplicity. You must make sure that the technology that you write and the software that you create, that it's very, very simple. The simpler it is, the better, easier to use. We normally use the terms light software in IT. If you have the latest F&B app, they just implemented it 3 days ago. They implemented the light software technique only now, whereby you can log into your account and it's very, very light. It doesn't, the images are reduced, everything is light and makes it very simple. And that's easier to use for the consumer, especially with the network we have in South Africa as well. So the easier things are, the better for the consumer. And I think that's what the consumer is looking for. The consumer is not looking for that brilliant idea or that complicated software that can make coffee for you and all of that. But they're looking for something that's very simple. They want to press one button and everything happens. So the simpler your software, the better. Although it does very advanced stuff, but it should be easier for the consumer to use it. Like what Microsoft did, you push a button, your PC starts up. It's very simple. You don't have to start writing a command. Like in Linux, I would write a command, start up my machine or shut down my machine and all of that. With the push of a button, it would work. So that's what I think the consumers are looking for.
What do you consider to be competition?
I'm a Taurus bull by nature, and therefore I'm very competitive, and my space belongs to me. So anyone who wants to trend in my business space is a competitor. The guy in the street that sells USBs in the street is my competitor, because I also can provide that service. From that guy up until Microsoft, they are competing with me. So that's how I look at it. And I try as much as possible not to eliminate the competition, but to buy the competition. So for the guy that sells the USB in the street, why can't I offer him a better deal to start stocking those USBs from my company? And therefore I kill that competition. He's selling USBs from the street, but he's buying them from me at a cheaper rate. And they are original, they have warranties and all of that. The very same thing with households. A lot of people are buying laptops. But those laptops are not even insured. Your laptop breaks now, you must go around and look for a receipt which your mother lost immediately when they walk out of the shop or did something like that. But with Open Technik, what we do is, if you buy from us, we give you a warranty. You can walk into us, you don't have to have a receipt. Everything that you buy from us is recorded. You walk into our offices and you say, listen here, this thing is broken and I bought it from you. And we take it back to the factory and we say, listen here, this thing is broken, can you fix it? If you can't fix it, can you replace it? And that way we're killing competition, because if you buy anything from Microsoft or IBM, they're not gonna allow you to walk into their offices and say, listen, the PC you sold to me is broken. They're gonna ask you, who are you? Go to the vendor that you bought it from. Everyone that's in the IT space is Open Technik's competition. What we normally do is you would come to us and you'll say you want a laptop. And we'll say to you, okay, we have a laptop for 3,000 rands. Here are the specs. If you can get it anywhere cheaper, we'll give it to you at that price. That's what we do. So we have confidence in what we offer. And we show it to our clients that we're very confident about it. And that's the whole deal around that.
And what is the future for Open Technik?
I normally tell people around me and my parents that I want to retire at the age 33. And I'm left with 3 years in the industry. So the future for me for Open Technik, I wanted to compete with one of the biggest in South Africa, Yokijima Assist, and all of that. But I don't want to, my philosophy is I don't want to work hard for my money. I want the money to work hard for me. I want to just spend it. So if everything goes well, at the age 33 I want to retire. The options I'll have is I'll probably get someone to take over Open Technik, or I'll probably sell the company and start traveling.
Freddy, didn't I meet you at the SME Expo? The SME Expo. You were trying to sell me a website. You kept saying you get 20% discount if you contact me now and chase me around. I know, I remember you. SME Expo. Where did they have it? In San City?
Maybe.
Okay. Anyway, my comment is in terms of sharing. The people who share videos, unfortunately because of piracy, they tend to use BitTorrents. BitTorrents. Torrents?
Yes.
How will you offer DSTV a way so that people can share but prevent this from happening? Because right now, it's easier to share in BitTorrent. And those are the kind of people who share video, are the kind of people who have access to technology who will use that.
Currently with DSTV, they're already, when they record that episode, you cannot download it to any drive. It's limited to them. So what we're going to say is when you share it, you can only share it once and you can only share it for 3 days. I'm taking you deeper into the whole product spec. And after 3 days, it expires the very same way you would download a movie currently. It doesn't say you're not allowed to watch the movie with 10 people. It says you're not allowed to download the movie and you take it and give it to somebody else to keep. But that's the whole idea around it. You have the movie and you want to watch it with 100 people. Because you can do the very same thing. You can download a movie from box office and you can have a party of 1,000 people at your home and you watch that movie. There is no law against that. There is law against taking that movie and physically giving it to somebody else. And that person then goes around sharing that movie. Whereas with DSTV is, with box office, you download that movie, you watch it, after 3 days, the movie is no longer there and it's not accessible anymore. But you already paid for the content. Remember, by watching Generations or watching sports on Super Sport 3 or whatever, you've already paid for the license for that by paying for the subscription. So you have a license already to use that kind of software, but you don't have a license to distribute the software.
From your presentation, I wasn't quite sure. When you're working with big corporates like FMB and MultiChoice and so on, are you approaching them with ideas every time, or are they commissioning your company to produce ideas that they've thought up in-house?
It took me like a week to get an appointment with MultiChoice to demo the product or to propose the idea to them. So unfortunately, some companies, they don't support innovation as much, but FNB, they are good at that. It was very difficult to find the innovation department in MultiChoice. It's close to non-existent. So yeah. What we do, I don't know if you know of the 1632 product. It's our brainchild. If you go to 1632, it's currently under development. On Facebook, there is 1632 CASI or 1632.co.za. What we are doing currently, we want to take social entertainment and include social entrepreneurship. So we want you to say, each and every time in Tembisa, there is an event every Friday and Thursday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's an event. What are those people learning from there apart from drinking? People pay to go to this event to watch Black Coffee. Why don't we say, you pay to come and watch Black Coffee, but he will have a 15-minute speech on a certain business subject before he starts playing. So Black Coffee must get there 15 minutes before the event, instead of Black Coffee getting there an hour before or 15 minutes before he starts playing. Because he's not then giving back to the community. If he's going to be there for an hour, he takes the money and he leaves. He leaves nothing behind. So 1632 is part of that. Another one is we're busy in Esteras in Pretoria. We're trying to build a lab for Esteras High School in Pretoria. There's another school, Woodridge High School in Pretoria East. We do a lot of motivational speaking for them. We donate some of the 3G cards we have, USBs and all of that. So we do a lot of community work. Recently I was invited to speak at Tembisa Youth Day function. So around there, we do a lot of CSR, and like I said, we like giving back to the community. Recently in Eastern Cape, we funded, and it was sort of like an Olympic event for the youth, which the government filled one of the organizers, and they did not bring the prices or the gift. So Technik came through and we provided the money for that. Then when approaching a big corporate, currently because of the connections that I have, it becomes a bit easier because I speak to my premier banker and she gives me all the details I need. But as a young corporate, you must do a lot of research. And you must not take no for an answer. And you must know that everyone owes you an explanation if they say no to you. There must be a why. You don't have to be rude about it, but you can just ask them, why are you shutting me down? They will explain it to you. That's how the business environment is. But obviously you can't walk into the head office of FNB and tell them, listen, I have this idea and I want to pitch it. Who should I pitch it to? But you do research. You call the receptionist and you ask them to put you through to the innovation department. If they don't know, like the receptionist at multi-choice didn't know what I was talking about innovation. And I said, if I have this new idea, I want to sell bananas to you guys. Who do I speak to? And he said, oh, all right, you must fill in a form. And I said, where do I get? Who's the person that can send me the form? He said, okay, I'll put you through. When I got to that person, I asked them again about innovation. So you see, you try, the communication line is there. It's just that it's difficult to get to the right person. So there is no, I can't tell you right now which office you should go to in order to speak to someone, F&B. But what I will tell you is that you should be persistent about it. And you should, if you trust in your idea and you think that your idea will work, you should push it. If it means that you must go and camp outside F&B's doors, then do it. Use Twitter. Tweet them and say, I have this brilliant idea, but I don't know who to talk to at F&B. You guys are really bad. Criticize them. Give them constructive criticism. They reply to their tweets. They've retweeted me a lot of times. Because each and every time I get a good service, I then go into their Twitter account and say, thank you to Precious Baloi, that's my premier bank. Each and every time she does a wonderful job with me, I go and I tweet, and those million tweeters, they probably know her name now. And that's because I go back and say thank you. So the next time I ask FNB a question, FNB will have to answer because they know who Balo Freddy or Freddy Mahhumane is.
What are you reading at the moment? I'm an avid reader, and I learn a hell of a lot from the experience of other entrepreneurs worldwide. So what are you reading at the moment that you can recommend?
It's a book by Nelson Mandela, Conversations with Myself.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant book. Currently what I've learned from that book is that when he was thrown into jail, he says, I then found an opportunity to get to know myself. He didn't try to plan an escape, worry about what's happening to his family outside. What he did was to try and get to know himself so that when he gets out of jail, he's a better person. And yeah, that's basically what I'm reading right now, and it's a very, very interesting book. What you do on Facebook will hinder your chances of making it as an entrepreneur. I'm not saying you shouldn't check in at News Cafe or check in at some party. You can do that. It shows people you're human. But liking a photo or liking a status that's very controversial or sharing it on your wall can hinder your chances of doing business with other people. What I did was, if you go to my profile is not directly linked to my company. My profile is not Freddy Mahhumane, but it's part of Freddy. I decided to use my nickname and my name. So it's part of Freddy on Facebook. And you will notice that in my profile, I do a lot of, I like writing quotes. I have a few quotes published by Goodreads. I don't know if you're a reader, you know Goodreads. They're very good when they're big in their social media and quoting. South African Quotes is following me on Twitter. They are big online. They quote the biggest celebrities, and having them retweet some of my quotes or sharing some of my quotes in their wall and following me on Tumblr, it means a lot. So I'm trying to build a profile whereby when you Google me and you go to my Facebook, and you simply become motivated. You go to my Instagram, which is Balo Freddy. You browse through what I've posted there. You become motivated. You want to follow me for the right reasons. So a lot of mistakes that people make currently is to take the social media very lightly, or liking a status that's very controversial, liking a photo that will be linked. Remember, every photo that you like will be linked to you. If you Google my name and you go on images, you'll see photos of my exes. It's bad, but somehow we're linked, because when we're in a relationship, we want everybody to see when you're young. You're now saying, Freddy is dating Tavi on Facebook, and when you break up, you think by just deselecting that and deleting that relationship status, you are no longer connected to the person, but you're actually connected for life. People, when they Google you and they go on images, they will see that. Yes, we have companies coming to us and they want us, or people coming to us that are current directors, and they want us to clean their online profile. By, we pay Google to say, for your search, if people search for you, the top 5 that should come up, it shouldn't be about you checking out the news cafe. If I were to Google every one of you right now, what would be returned if you Google yourself? Is it a Facebook link? If it's a Facebook link, you're in danger. It shouldn't be a Facebook link. It should be some article, some comment you posted online. So one of the things that I think I'm very grateful that I know now is how dangerous social media is. Somebody that was linked to a scandal whereby money got lost and they were never cleared. But as a director of a company, that person, if he's linked with that, then the company is in danger. People might be reluctant to do business with us. Because believe me, when somebody goes to a company website, they will quickly Google the CEO or the managing director to see what they are all about. So it depends on your critical level, but it ranges from 500 yen up until could be 1 million rand. Depends on what we have to clean up online. When we came out, the gap in the market that we saw was that Google apps were offering free emails and you could convert them into your own domain. But a lot of people did not know that it was a limited service. So what we did, we started building a product and waited for Google to shut it down. And when Google went down and said, listen, now you have to pay $8 per account, then we come and we say, you pay us 100 rand for unlimited accounts. And we say that to the SME, 100 rand is next to nothing today. For 100 rand, you'll get emails at your domain, unlimited accounts. We do the administration, 99.9% uptime that we guarantee. If for that month you go down twice, you don't pay. It's on our contract. So you always stay online and connected. You have your own domain, you manage your domains and all of that. So yes, you can focus on these small SMEs, but there comes a time whereby you must grow, whereby you're no longer doing business deals for 500,000, you want to do business deals for 500 million. And as time goes on, you realize that the small SMEs kind of change for you. You prioritize and you try and get the big guns. Because once you get one big gun, everybody else follows.
What disadvantages did you find starting so young? For example, going into a corporate, how do you, to pitch your work, how did you put a value on what your work was going to be worth without that experience to draw on?
Like I said before, when I quoted Nelson Mandela, I was scared. But I knew that I had to channel that into something positive. I'm still scared today. I sometimes walk into a room and I'm dealing with everybody who's got degrees and all of that, and I have nothing. But there's one thing that they can't take away from me, and that's my brain and my ideas. That's who I am. No one can take that away from me, and that keeps me going. And it's trial by failure. If I fail, then I must try and channel it and see what I can do better, and I try and improve. I have failed a lot of times, but I make sure that I pick myself up and I push forward and I try and do it. And you're right, in order for yourself to be recognized as a successful entrepreneur, you must have 20 years in the business. When I told my friends, my first company, my title was the CEO, and I was only 23, and everybody laughed when they asked me, what were you doing? Because I started distancing myself from the people I was working for. If you ask me what company you were working for, I would say, I'm working for Scottish Technologies. Here's my business card. I'm actually the CEO of the company. I founded the company. And people start knowing you as that person. When you're working for someone and you put it on Facebook that I'm working for Open Technik, you're advertising me. Every friend of me, we have 300 friends. I get free advertisement on anybody that says they're working for me. It's good, but I have free advertisement to 300 friends or 500 friends or something like that. But yeah, like I said, each and every time when I fail, I try to pick myself up. I don't think there's anything.
I'm thinking, financial value as well. I mean, how hard is it to go into a meeting with an FMB and work out how much your product is going to be worth to them when, you know, if you've not been working in that field for a long time?
All right. It's a good question. But like I said, you have to go right and do what's right. When I walk into FNB, I don't wear my 200 friend suit. I make sure they notice what kind of laptop I'm using. I call them and request parking before I go and visit them. I act special. I pretend to be special. I ask them, where should I park? What parking bay number do you have for me? I don't feel safety parking in the streets. So can you please organize parking for me? And then they get to ask you, they'll tell you, okay, I'll try and find parking. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to ask the person you're meeting with, where should this guy park? And immediately, that person will realize that, okay, this guy is all about, he's serious. He's serious about his business. He's serious about themselves. Now you're building respect and you're not even there yet. When you get there, you give them a firm handshake. It's easier to remember somebody from a handshake than from a hug. I know guys like giving hugs and whatnot. A handshake is always remembered. Believe me. And you're right. I mean, if I'm worth $1 million and I try and do business that's worth 10 million, 100 million, it's very scary. And people might take me lightly, but I must take myself serious. And I must tell FNB what I'm all about. I'm not going to sacrifice. When I walk into FNB, I don't say, you know what, because I'm a startup, you can have this idea for 50,000 rand. No, I want R1 for each and every time somebody uses that link on your app. R1, that's what I'm asking for. It seems very small, but they already know what you're about. They already know this person did their homework. They know what they want. And they start negotiating from there. And that in itself makes them think that this person has been dealing with 500 million accounts. When they ask me where you're based, I tell them in Merozak, inside Merozak, in the most expensive office suite. And that scares them. And where do you want to meet for a meeting? Let's go down to Europa or JP's Corner, and we're going to pay for it. We have lunch with you. We're sort of building a social entrepreneurship as well while doing it. So yeah, look right. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I also want to give a great shout out to our sponsors. Jozi Hub is the official home of Startup Grind Johannesburg. Also to our refreshment sponsor, So Juice, thank you so much. We've also got some magazines from Destiny that you guys can grab as you're going out. And we've also been sponsored with the chocolates by Zinto Marketing and the pizzas from Pizza Del Forno in Killarney Mall. Thank you so much, guys, for attending our first event in Johannesburg.